My name is Samantha, and I'm a software engineer working at a startup in Silicon Valley. Since I arrived here, I knew it wouldn't be easy. The environment is highly competitive, and the pressure to innovate is constant. However, nothing prepared me for the toxic behavior of my boss, Kyle. He's the kind of person who loves to make jokes at other people's expense, and I, with my southern accent, ended up being his favorite target. "Look, the girl with the thick accent managed to solve the bug," he would say, laughing scornfully whenever I managed to solve a complex problem. Other colleagues laughed too, some out of spite, others just to avoid feeling excluded. Each comment from Kyle was like a stab, and I felt like my confidence was being undermined little by little. At first, I tried to ignore it. I thought that if I worked hard and showed results, he would eventually respect me. But time passed and things only got worse. The jokes became more frequent and cruel. "Do they also program in binary in the South?" he asked, earning laughter from the others. One day, after one of these humiliation sessions, I found myself alone in the break room. I was on the verge of tears when Jenna, a colleague, walked in. She watched me for a moment before coming over and sitting next to me. "Are you well?" she asked, her voice filled with genuine concern. "Not exactly," I replied, trying to maintain my composure. "Kyle never stops making fun of me about my accent. It's like he thinks it makes me a lesser professional." Jenna sighed and nodded. "I know how you feel. He does the same to me, but for different reasons. He loves to belittle me for being a woman in a male-dominated environment." It was a relief to hear those words. I realized that I wasn't alone, that there was someone who understood what I was going through. From that moment on, Jenna and I formed an alliance. We started sharing our frustrations and supporting each other. She encouraged me not to give up, to believe in myself and my talent. "You're one of the best engineers I've ever met," she said one day as we were having coffee together. "Don't let an idiot like Kyle make you doubt that." With Jenna's support, I began to regain my confidence. I decided it was time to change the dynamic. I knew I needed to find a way to show everyone, especially Kyle, that my background didn't influence my professional competence. The perfect opportunity arose when the startup faced a financial crisis. Kyle was desperate to attract new investors, but his ideas were old-fashioned and failed to impress. That's when I realized I could use my expertise to turn the game in my favor. "I have an idea," I said to Jenna one afternoon. "I'm going to work on a game-changing presentation for the next investor meeting. If it works, not only will we save the company, but I'll also prove myself." Jenna smiled, full of enthusiasm. "I knew you would have a plan. I'm with you on this one. If you need anything, just tell me." And so, with Jenna by my side, I began developing the presentation. I worked tirelessly, often late into the night, using all my technical skills and innovative vision. I knew this was my moment to shine, and nothing and no one was going to stop me. Every line of code, every graph and every slide was made with the utmost care and dedication. Jenna helped me with feedback and encouragement, and with each day that passed, I felt more prepared for the big challenge that lay ahead. I was determined to dazzle the audience and finally earn the respect I deserved. It was on a gray late afternoon, after another frustrating meeting with Kyle, that I really met Jenna. I knew her by sight, of course. She was one of the senior developers on the team, always with a serious and focused expression. But we had never exchanged more than quick greetings in the hallways. On that particular day, I was sitting in the company cafeteria, trying to drown my discouragement in a cup of coffee. Kyle had made another one of his jokes about my southern accent in front of everyone, and the humiliation still burned. It was then that Jenna approached and, with a look of understanding, asked, "Can I seat?" I nodded, trying to hide the tears that threatened to fall. She sat down and, after a few seconds of comfortable silence, said, "I saw what happened at the meeting. I am really sorry. Kyle can be a real jerk." Those simple words were a bomb. For the first time, I felt like someone truly understood me in that hostile environment. "Thank you, Jenna," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Sometimes it seems like he does it on purpose, just to demoralize me." She nodded, and her eyes filled with a determination I hadn't yet seen. "He does. And it's not just you. I go through this too, but in other ways. He loves putting people down to feel superior." We talked for hours that afternoon, sharing our frustrations and experiences. It turned out that Jenna had also been the target of Kyle's toxic attitudes, albeit in different ways. As a woman in a senior position, she often had her ideas ignored or appropriated by others, especially Kyle. "We need to support each other," Jenna suggested, with a spark of hope in her eyes. "If we are united, it will be more difficult for him to take us down." The idea of having an ally, someone I could count on, brought new enthusiasm. I immediately agreed, and from that day on, we started meeting regularly. We shared strategies for dealing with Kyle, we exchanged feedback on our projects, and most importantly, we offered each other emotional support. "Samantha, you are brilliant," Jenna told me one day while we were reviewing code together. "Don't let him make you doubt that. Your accent is part of who you are, and it does not take away from your talent in any way." These words became a mantra for me. Whenever Kyle made a joke or tried to belittle me, I remembered what Jenna had said. Little by little, my confidence began to recover. One day, during a coffee break, Jenna brought up an idea. "You know, Samantha, we have a big public performance coming up. Kyle will need something truly innovative to attract investors. And honestly, I doubt he has anything good enough." She paused, assessing my reaction. "What if we use this chance to show our worth? We can work together on something revolutionary, something that really makes a difference." That idea excited me. I knew that with Jenna's help we could create something spectacular. And, more than that, it would be an opportunity to prove to everyone, especially Kyle, that my southern accent did not interfere with my talent and professionalism. "Let's do this," I replied, feeling a new determination growing within me. "Let's show them what we're capable of." From that moment on, Jenna and I became an unbeatable team. We worked tirelessly, often late into the night, sharing ideas and refining our plans. Jenna was a constant source of inspiration and encouragement, always ready to remind me of my worth and potential. Our alliance grew stronger every day, and with it, my confidence and determination. I was ready to face any challenge, knowing that I had someone by my side who believed in me. Together, we were about to transform the next public presentation into a true spectacle of innovation and competence. The financial crisis at the startup began to worsen in a way that no one could ignore anymore. The atmosphere in the corridors was tense, and the meetings were filled with despair. Kyle, our boss, seemed more lost than ever, desperately trying to attract new investors to save the company. However, his ideas were clearly stale and repetitive, failing to impress any potential investors. "We need something new, something revolutionary," he shouted at one of the meetings, banging the table with his fists. "If we don't get investment now, we're all out on the street." It was in this moment of crisis that I saw a unique opportunity. I could feel a mixture of nervousness and excitement building inside me. I knew I had the technical skills and innovative vision needed to create something truly impressive, something that could not only save the startup but also prove my worth, finally silencing Kyle and his derogatory comments about my southern accent. After yet another frustrating meeting, Jenna approached me. "Sam, you know you have what it takes to turn this game around, right?" She looked at me with a mixture of confidence and concern. "I know, Jenna. And I already have some ideas in mind," I replied, feeling my determination grow. "But I need to work on this in secret. Kyle would never let me lead this presentation." Jenna smiled, relieved. "Let's do this together. I'll help you with whatever you need." And so we started working clandestinely. I spent entire nights in the office, immersed in codes and graphics, developing a presentation that was truly revolutionary. Jenna was always there for me, offering feedback and encouragement. "This is getting amazing, Sam. They won't know what hit them." During this period, I also started spending more time with David, one of the company's investors. He seemed genuinely interested in my ideas and always encouraged me to move forward. In one of these conversations, he told me, "Samantha, you have a vision that few have. Don't let anyone underestimate you." These words resonated with me. I knew that David believed in me and that Jenna was there to support me. That was all I needed to keep going. The date of the public presentation was quickly approaching. Kyle continued to belittle me, having no idea what I was up to. "Don't ruin it with your redneck accent, Samantha," he said, laughing. I ignored him, channeling all my energy into perfecting every detail of the presentation. The day before the big day, Jenna and David helped me rehearse. "You're ready, Sam. You're going to rock," Jenna said, squeezing my hand. David just smiled and added, "Show everyone what you're capable of." Finally, the day of the presentation arrived. I felt butterflies in my stomach, but I was determined. I walked onto the stage with confidence, looking out into the audience, where Jenna and David offered me moral support. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Samantha, and today I am going to present to you a proposal that could revolutionize our company and guarantee our future." As I progressed through the presentation, I could see the interest growing in the investors' eyes. I explained my ideas clearly and convincingly, using interactive graphics and real-time demonstrations. When I finished, the room was silent for a moment, before erupting in applause. The public, including investors, were amazed. Kyle, to my delight, was left in shock, unable to utter a word. Later he took me aside. "Samantha, that was impressive," he said, unable to hide his surprise. "Thanks, Kyle. I guess my accent didn't hurt, did it?" I responded with a smile, finally feeling that the respect I so deserved was beginning to materialize. This presentation not only saved the startup, attracting an influx of investment, but also changed my professional life. I had finally proven myself, and no one could take that away from me. I worked tirelessly on the presentation that I know can save the company and, at the same time, prove my worth. Tired of Kyle's constant humiliation, I decide it's time to take action and show everyone what I'm capable of. My innovative vision and technical skills are my greatest weapon, and I am determined to use them to create something extraordinary. I spend sleepless nights immersed in codes and graphs, transforming complex data into a compelling narrative that can captivate investors. Jenna, my friend and confidant, has been an invaluable support through this process. She reviews my ideas, offers constructive feedback and, above all, encourages me to continue even when fatigue threatens to take over. "Sam, this is amazing," Jenna says, looking at one of the slides I just finished. "This growth projection chart is exactly what we need to get investors' attention." "Thanks, Jenna," I reply, relieved by her support. I still have a lot of work to do, but I'm starting to feel like we're on the right track. Every detail of the presentation is meticulously planned. I want everything to be perfect, from the introduction to the conclusion. I review each slide countless times, adjusting colors, fonts, and images to ensure everything aligns with the message I want to convey. The idea is to show that, despite my southern accent, my ability to create innovative and effective solutions cannot be underestimated. During one of these work nights, I receive a message from David, one of the startup's investors. He has shown interest in my work and, little by little, we have developed a friendship based on mutual admiration. "Samantha, how is the preparation going?" asks David. "I'm working hard, David. I think I'm on the right track, but there's still a lot to do," I reply, feeling grateful for his interest. "If you need anything, I'm here to help." "I know you're going to rock it," he says, his words offering an extra dose of motivation. With Jenna and David's support, my confidence grows every day. I continue to refine the presentation, adding elements that highlight not only the technological innovation, but also the financial viability of my proposals. I know it's crucial to convince investors that my ideas can not only save the company, but also take it to new heights of success. A week before the public performance, I decide to do a dress rehearsal. Jenna and David join me in the conference room, taking on the role of critical investors. "Come on, Sam. Show us what you've got, Jenna says, with an encouraging smile. I take a deep breath and start the presentation. As I progress through the slides, I feel more and more confident. Jenna and David ask challenging questions, simulating possible doubts from real investors. Your constructive criticism helps me fine-tune the final details and prepare for any eventuality. That was amazing, Sam, says David, after the rehearsal. You're more than ready. Thank you, David. And thank you, Jenna, for your constant support, I respond, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for having these people by my side. With the presentation ready, I feel prepared to face Kyle and any other adversity that may arise. I know that my origin and my accent do not define my competence, and I am determined to prove that to everyone. The day before the presentation, I review everything one last time. I feel a mix of nervousness and excitement, aware that this is my chance to change my professional life forever. With Jenna and David by my side, I know I'm ready to take on any challenge and wow audiences with my innovative vision and undeniable talent. As I dedicated myself to creating the revolutionary presentation, something unexpected began to happen. I developed a friendship with David, one of the startup's investors. At first, our interactions were strictly professional. I met him during a meeting where he was present to evaluate the company's progress. David was different from other investors. He had a genuine way of being interested in people and what they had to say. One afternoon, while I was in the break room, enjoying a rare moment of pause, David walked in and started a casual conversation. "Samantha, you're always here late, aren't you?" he commented, grabbing a cup of coffee. "Yes, work doesn't wait, right?" I replied, trying to hide my tiredness with a smile. David sat next to me, and we started talking about technology and trends in the software market. He was impressed with my vision and knowledge. With each meeting, I realized that there was a growing connection between us. He not only appreciated my intelligence, but also respected my opinion. "You are truly brilliant, Samantha. I don't know why Kyle doesn't see this," he said one day while we were discussing a new feature I was developing. "Kyle has his own ideas about what talent is," I replied, trying not to show my frustration. David laughed, but his look was serious. "Don't let him demoralize you. You have incredible potential, and I'm here to support you," he said, lightly touching my shoulder. These words of encouragement were exactly what I needed. With the support of David and Jenna, I continued working tirelessly on the presentation. I knew this was my chance to show everyone my true worth. The weeks passed, and our friendship grew stronger. David started inviting me to lunches and dinners where we discussed not only work but also our personal lives. He told me about his childhood, his passions, and his ambitions. I also opened up to him, sharing my struggles and dreams. "Samantha, have you ever thought about opening your own company?" he asked one day as we walked through the park near the office. "Yes, but that seems so far away. I still have a lot to prove here," I replied, looking at the horizon. "You've proven more than enough for me, and soon everyone will see that too," he said, with an encouraging smile. Every word from David gave me more strength and confidence. I knew he believed in me, and that made all the difference. As the day of the performance approached, he became a constant presence, helping me rehearse and perfect every detail. "You're going to rock, Samantha. Remember, you are the smartest and most talented person in this room," he told me the day before the presentation, holding my hands. "Thank you, David. Your support means a lot to me," I replied, feeling a mixture of nervousness and gratitude. Deep down, I knew I wasn't alone in this fight. With David by my side, I felt like I could face any challenge. And more than that, I knew I had finally found someone who saw my true value, regardless of my accent or background. This unexpected friendship not only gave me the strength I needed to move forward, but also taught me the value of empathy and mutual support. The connection with David was one of the key points that helped me stay focused and determined. Now, with the performance approaching, I was ready to show the world who I really was. With the date of the public presentation getting closer and closer, the pressure increased. I knew this was my chance to prove myself, not just to the company, but to myself. Every free moment I had, I dedicated to preparation. My daily routine turned into a marathon of rehearsals, adjustments, and refinements. The pressure was intense, but also a source of motivation. Jenna and David were my biggest supporters during this time. Jenna, with her experience and critical eye, helped me adjust every detail of the presentation. Whenever I felt like something was out of place, she was there to offer valuable insights and encourage me to keep going. I remember one night in particular when we were working late at the office. "Samantha, I think this part about financial viability could still be clearer," Jenna said, pointing to a section of my slide. "Investors need to see numbers that speak for themselves." "You're right," I replied, adjusting the graphics. "I will add more data on growth projections." David, on the other hand, offered me an outside perspective, something I desperately needed. He wasn't just an investor, he became a friend and a mentor. We discussed the presentation over coffees and in regular brainstorming sessions. "Sam, you're brilliant," he said once as we reviewed the slides at a local cafe. "But remember, the way you present is just as important as the content. Confidence is key." These words echoed in my mind every night. I knew that, despite all the difficulties and humiliations I faced, I had the ability to turn the game around. And that confidence grew every day, fueled by Jenna and David's unwavering support. In the last few weeks before the performance, my life became a continuous cycle of work, rehearsals, and adjustments. Each morning I woke up with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. I rehearsed my presentation in front of the mirror, recorded my voice and reviewed every word, every gesture. "Sam, you have to believe every word you're saying," Jenna reminded me during one of our final rehearsals. "If you believe, they will believe too." And I believed. I believed in my ability, my vision, and the impact my presentation could have. The more I rehearsed, the more prepared I felt for that big day. My southern accent, once a subject of ridicule, now became part of my identity, something I embraced with pride. The night before the performance, David called me. "Sam, I just wanted to wish you good luck for tomorrow," he said. "I know you're going to rock it." "Thank you, David. It means a lot to me to have your support," I replied, feeling a rush of gratitude. "Let's do this together," he said. "Remember, you are not alone." With those words, I went to sleep that night with a feeling of calm and determination. The next morning, I woke up early, reviewed my slides once again, and prepared myself for the day that I knew could change my life. Arriving at the presentation site, I felt adrenaline rush through my body. Jenna and David were there, ready to support me. Kyle, as always, seemed oblivious to what was about to happen, still underestimating my capabilities. "Let's show them what you're capable of," Jenna whispered, giving me a quick hug of encouragement. "Let's do this," I replied, feeling confidence grow within me. At that moment, I knew I was ready. All I had to do was get on stage and show the world who I really was. On the day of the presentation, I woke up with my heart racing. The sun had barely risen over the horizon and I was already standing, mentally reviewing every detail of my presentation. The anxiety was palpable, but there was also a thread of determination that kept me going. This was the day I would finally prove my worth, not only to the company, but to myself. I arrived at the office early, well before Kyle and the other colleagues. I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. I connected my laptop to the projector, did one last check of the slides, and took a deep breath. "You can do it, Samantha," I muttered to myself, trying to calm my nerves. As the minutes passed, the office began to fill up. Jenna arrived shortly after me, bringing 2 coffees. "To give you a boost of energy," she said with an encouraging smile. "You are ready?" "More than ever," I replied, trying to convey more confidence than I actually felt at that moment. Jenna gave me a quick hug and whispered, "You're going to rock it." David entered soon after. He approached me with a warm smile. "Good luck, Samantha. I know you'll impress everyone today." There was something in his gaze that reassured me. He believed in me, and that made all the difference. Finally, Kyle appeared, already with his usual expression of superiority. "I hope you don't embarrass us with that country accent of yours," he said, laughing. Once again, I felt that mix of anger and determination rise within me. He had no idea what was coming. The conference room was packed. Investors, co-workers, and even some onlookers were present. The atmosphere was expectant. Kyle started the presentation with his stale ideas, and I could see the disappointment on the investors' faces. He was sinking the company more and more. When it was finally my turn, I walked to the stage with steady steps. I took the microphone and looked at the audience. "Good morning, everyone," I began, feeling my confidence grow with each word. "Today, I want to share with you an innovative vision that can transform the future of our company." As he spoke, the room filled with murmurs of approval. I used all my technical knowledge to explain, clearly and precisely, how my proposal could solve the startup's financial problems. With each slide, I felt the energy of the audience change. They were amazed. "This is our chance to not just survive, but to thrive in the technology market," I concluded. The room erupted in applause. I looked at Jenna and David, who were smiling proudly. Kyle, on the other hand, was pale and visibly disconcerted. He didn't expect that. After the presentation, several investors approached me to congratulate me and discuss my ideas further. One of them, a man in a sharp suit, said, "You're exactly the kind of talent we were looking for." "Congratulations, Samantha." David walked over and put his hand on my shoulder. "I knew you'd make it," he said, with a smile that seemed to light up the room. "You were brilliant." Jenna, her eyes shining, pulled me into a hug. "You did it, Sam. You proved that no one can underestimate you." As we talked, Kyle stood at a distance, silently observing. For the first time, he seemed to realize that his words and actions no longer had power over me. I had one. That day marked a turning point in my professional life. Not only did I manage to save the startup by attracting new investments, but I also gained the respect and appreciation that I always deserved. I stepped out of Kyle's shadow and proved that my talent and dedication were greater than any prejudice. And so, with the support of Jenna and David, I began a new phase, full of promise and possibility. The future, which once seemed uncertain, now shone with opportunity and recognition. And I was ready to face every challenge that came my way. The moment I stepped on stage, I felt a rush of adrenaline course through my body. The room was full of eager and curious faces, ready to judge my performance. I took a deep breath and looked out into the audience, where I saw Jenna and David waving with encouraging smiles. Feeling their support gave me an extra dose of confidence. Kyle, on the other hand, sat with his usual expression, that mixture of arrogance and contempt that I knew so well. "Good luck, Southerner," he whispered as I passed him, his voice thick with sarcasm. I ignored his comment and focused on what really mattered, the presentation. I had worked tirelessly over the past few weeks, often late into the night, refining every detail of that proposal. I knew that my ideas had the potential to transform the company's financial situation and, more importantly, to prove my worth. I began to speak, my voice steady and clear. "Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to present to you a new vision for our startup. A vision that will not only solve our financial problems, but also put us at the forefront of technological innovation." As he continued, he could see the expressions of skepticism gradually turning into genuine interest. I used graphs, software demos, and case studies to illustrate my ideas. Every slide, every word, has been carefully planned to impress and convince. When I finished the first part, I paused to gauge the audience's reaction. One of the investors, a middle-aged man with graying hair, raised his hand. "Samantha, could you explain a little more about the technical feasibility of this solution?" With a confident smile, I replied, "Of course, sir. The key to technical feasibility lies in the modular architecture I have developed. This not only allows for efficient scalability, but also significantly reduces operational costs. Here is a practical example of how this works. I continued to answer questions and provide more technical details, aware that every word was an opportunity to reinforce my competence and vision. Throughout the presentation, I noticed that Kyle was increasingly fidgeting in his seat. It was clear that he didn't expect me to have so much control over the subject. When I finally finished, the room erupted in applause. I felt a wave of relief and satisfaction wash over me. I looked at Jenna and David, who were standing, applauding enthusiastically. Kyle, on the other hand, looked stunned, as if he couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. After the applause, one of the main investors stood up and walked to the stage. "Samantha, your presentation was simply brilliant. We are truly impressed with your vision and technical ability. I believe I speak for everyone here when I say we want to invest in this new direction." Public recognition was the validation I needed. I felt a mixture of pride and emotion when I heard those words. Everything I had worked for, all the struggle and challenges I faced, were suddenly worth it. David approached me afterwards, grinning from ear to ear. "Samantha, you were incredible. I always knew you had exceptional talent, but today you exceeded all expectations." "Thanks, David," I replied, still processing everything that had happened. "Your support meant a lot to me." Jenna also came to hug me. "You killed it, Sam. I'm so proud of you." Later, while everyone was celebrating the success of the presentation, Kyle tried to approach me. "Samantha, I think I underestimated you. Congratulations on the performance." I looked at him, feeling an unexpected calm. "Thank you, Kyle. I hope you learn that talent and competence have nothing to do with accent or origin." That day marked the beginning of a new phase in my professional life. I proved my worth to everyone and finally gained the respect I deserved. Most importantly, I realized that with determination and support, it is possible to overcome any adversity. When I finished my performance and walked off the stage, I felt a mix of relief and excitement. The audience was ecstatic, and I knew I had done it. The investors were clearly impressed and started talking among themselves, excited about the possibilities I had presented. I couldn't believe what was happening. Finally, my work and ideas were being valued. David was the first to approach. His eyes shone with pride, and he smiled broadly when he saw me. "Samantha, you were amazing. I knew you had something special, but this exceeded all expectations," he said, hugging me enthusiastically. "Thank you, David. Your trust in me made all the difference." "I couldn't have done this without your support," I replied, feeling a rush of gratitude for having someone who believed in my potential. Meanwhile, Kyle remained in a corner of the room, visibly disconcerted. He always underestimated me and made sure to remind me of that with his sarcastic comments about my southern accent and my background. But today, he was forced to eat his every word. Jenna came running towards me, her eyes filled with tears of joy. "Samantha, you did it. I'm so proud of you." This performance was a turning point for all of us. "Jenna, I don't know what I would have done without you." "Your support was fundamental," I replied, holding her hands tightly. Kyle finally approached, but now his posture was different. He seemed more humble, almost ashamed. "Samantha, I just wanted to say that your work was exceptional. You really saved the company today," he said hesitantly. I stared at him for a moment, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and compassion. "Thank you, Kyle. I hope this shows that competence and talent have nothing to do with accents or backgrounds. We all have something valuable to offer," I replied, maintaining my dignity. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions and changes. Word of my successful pitch spread quickly, and the startup began attracting an influx of investment. The meetings with the new investors were intense, but I was prepared and confident, finally feeling that my work was being recognized. David continued to be a great supporter and friend. He never missed an opportunity to remind me how proud he was of me. "You're a game changer, Samantha. Your vision and determination are inspiring," he told me one night as we had coffee after a long meeting. "Thank you, David. I feel like I'm finally in the right place, making the difference I've always wanted to make," I replied, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. The team also started treating me with more respect. My colleagues, who had previously stayed silent while Kyle made his jokes, now came to me for advice and to share ideas. It was a refreshing change in the work environment. And then came the twist that no one expected. During an internal audit, we discovered that Kyle was embezzling company funds, which significantly contributed to the financial crisis we faced. It was a shock for everyone, but at the same time, a kind of poetic justice. Kyle was fired and brought to justice for his wrongful actions. With him out of the way, the atmosphere at the company improved drastically. Workdays became more collaborative and productive, and I was promoted to a leadership position. Jenna, David, and I are an inseparable trio. Working alongside them was one of the greatest gifts of this journey. Finally, I was living the career I always dreamed of, surrounded by people who believed in me and respected me for who I was. The recognition I received was not just a professional victory, but a confirmation that, regardless of where we come from, we all have the right to be valued for our talent and dedication. And that was, without a doubt, the greatest achievement of all. At the height of the celebration of the success of the presentation, I was surrounded by colleagues who finally recognized my value. Jenna couldn't hide her smile of satisfaction, and David, with whom I had formed a strong and special friendship, was at my side, expressing his pride in a way that touched me deeply. "You were incredible, Samantha. I knew you had something extraordinary to offer," David said, his eyes shining with genuine admiration. "Thank you, David. I couldn't have done it without your support," I replied, feeling a mixture of gratitude and relief. But, in the midst of all this euphoria, unexpected news arrived. An internal investigation, which had begun discreetly, revealed that Kyle was embezzling company funds. This discovery came as a shock to everyone, but at the same time, it made so much sense. The financial crisis we faced was not just the result of bad decisions, but criminal behavior. We should have been suspicious. "His behavior was always suspicious," Jenna commented, shaking her head in disbelief. The company's management wasted no time. Kyle was immediately fired and brought to justice for his wrongdoings. The news spread quickly through the office, and although everyone was surprised, there was a feeling of justice being served. The one who had humiliated me so much, who had undermined my confidence with his cruel jokes about my accent, was finally facing the consequences of his actions. "It's surreal to think this was all happening right under our noses," I muttered, still trying to process the situation. "Well, now he's out of the way, and you can shine without any shadows," David said, squeezing my hand reassuringly. With Kyle out of the company, the work environment has improved significantly. Tensions eased, and team morale rose. The toxic atmosphere he had created gave way to an environment of collaboration and respect. It was then that management called me to a meeting. I was nervous, not knowing what to expect. Jenna gave me an encouraging hug before I entered the room. "You deserve it, Sam. Go out there and kill it," she said, smiling. Inside the room, the directors were waiting for me. "Samantha, we would like to congratulate you on your excellent work. Your presentation not only saved the company, but also demonstrated your leadership and strategic vision," began one of the directors. "Thank you. It was a collective effort, but I knew we needed a change," I replied, trying to remain calm. "And that's why we've decided to promote you to a leadership position. We believe you're the right person to guide this company into a promising future," he continued, with a sincere smile. I couldn't believe it. All the effort, the sleepless nights, the humiliations I endured, it all seemed worth it at that moment. I don't know what to say. Thank you for your trust. I promise to do my best to lead the company to success," she said, emotionally. When I left the room, Jenna and David were waiting for me. "So? How was it?" Jenna asked anxiously. "I got promoted," I replied, still in disbelief. Jenna hugged me tightly, and David kissed me on the cheek, both of them beaming with joy. "You deserve every bit of this achievement, Samantha," David said, his gaze full of affection. With Kyle out of the way and a new leadership position, I felt ready to begin a new phase in my career and personal life. Alongside Jenna, who had become not just a colleague but a true friend, and David, whose support and friendship blossomed into something even more special, I was prepared to face any challenge that lay ahead. And finally, I knew that my origin and accent did not define my value, but rather my competence and dedication.